I temporarily moved the cherry shrimp from my 29-gallon breeder tank into the tank I call 10-1, my Endler's livebearer breeding tank. Most of them anyway. There are at least a dozen left in the tank. I'm considering moving them into my 75-gallon CO2 injected tank. I believe it's ready for shrimp. The plants, substrate, and hardscape should be covered with macrofauna now for the shrimp to enjoy, and male Endler's livebearers are doing just fine in that tank. The only problem is it continues to have quite a bit of algae, but I have removed most of that manually, and also desiccated jungle vallisonera, which seem to be feeding the algae. Also vacuumed the top of the coal slag with a siphon. Hopefully now the coal slag will effectively cap the compost beneath, and the many plants in that tank will outcompete the algae for nutrients. And I believe it's ready for cherry shrimp. I may just start with a few, and if they seem to be doing alright, go ahead and add the rest. But this tank was already housing cherry shrimp, so temporarily or even long term it can have a large population. They don't do any harm with Endler's livebearers. No danger of them interfering with the reproduction, as seems to be the case in my friend's Fat 40 tank, he calls it. It houses shrimp, rice fish, and white cloud mountain minnow, but there doesn't seem to be any successful breeding of the egg layers in that tank. Perhaps the shrimp are devouring them, or it could be that the fish devour eggs as they're laid. This tank continues to have a problem with black-beard algae. I don't have any species in the tank that will eat that, and as I feed live brine shrimp nauplii to the Endler's livebearers, the leftovers tend to cause that pest to thrive. I'm not sure what the solution is other than to continue to cut back on feeding and just feed brine shrimp nauplii once every few days. Keep the fish going on store-bought fare and homemade fish food, that type of thing. However, overall, the tank is looking pretty good. There's loads of plants in here. All the fish except for the blue male Endler are female, which I acquired as fry. Now that all the fry are old enough to sex, I'm keeping all these females in here in hopes that my prize blue male will inseminate them all, and I can continue a line of blue Endler's livebearers. The males of this bunch do have a blue coloration, and I want to be sure to prevent any inbreeding. I do want to be careful to avoid inbreeding. Here's a look at the 29-gallon breeder tank. Looking pretty sparse since I also removed the plants. to soak in alum solution, as the tank is infested with bladder snails. I want to carry pest snail eggs to another setup. And the blue male Endlers, which I acquired as fry, are in this tank with the remainder of the cherry shrimp. I intend to give these males away, as I don't want to breed them with any of the females I have, because they are all siblings of this batch. And I want to free up the tank. Actually, probably go ahead and replace it, as I did acquire it used and it's pretty scratched up. It came with a plastic backdrop. I prefer to paint the back glass black to match the substrate, and I do like a pristine tank, so I wanted to share this tank with you before I break it down.